Hi guys, Dave with First Place Auto Parts. Thanks for joining me in the shop today. If you own a classic vehicle or even a vehicle that's 10 years or older, at some point in time you may consider having some paint and body work done to it. Maybe you want to change the color, or maybe you just want to freshen the vehicle up so it looks like new again. It's a very common process, and there's tons of body shops. Look, I've been in this industry for a long time, and I have seen and been part of a lot of car builds. I've seen the best case scenarios, but more often than not, I see a lot of what I would consider to be the worst case scenario. So today, we're going to talk about what you should do before you take your car to a body shop or a paint shop, what you should do while it's there, and then what you should do after it's done. So stay tuned, and we'll take a look at what you should know about getting your car painted. As if you like today's video, please consider subscribing to the First Place Auto Parts YouTube channel. We're going to continually be adding new videos every week where we show you how to put new parts on. We take a look at the latest parts that are available, and we go to some pretty cool car guy stuff I'm pretty sure you're going to want to see. So what we have in the shop today is an early 90s Ram 2500. It's the first generation of the Cummins diesel. It's a really cool truck. We bought it from the original owner. The original owner, over the years, the paint had gotten faded. He decided to take it to a paint and body shop that he felt he trusted and paid a lot of money to have this truck repainted. Through the frustration of that process and the time delays that it took, he lost interest in the project, and ultimately we bought the vehicle for less than he paid for the paint. So it's a project that's worth doing, but we're going to go ahead and cover some of the things that you should understand before you take your vehicle to a body shop. And there are three things before you ever take your vehicle to a paint and body shop or commit to one that you should do. And the first thing is interview and talk to the owner of the actual shop itself. You'll get a feel for the vibe and the personality of the owner. Is he going to be easy to work with? Do they stand behind their quality? Are they quality oriented? Is it important that they understand that you have a passion for your vehicle, or is it just another job? Number two is take a tour of the facility. Look around. Is it well organized? Is it clean where it should be? Take a look at the paint booth and take a look at the filters that oftentimes line the doors that open up when they put the vehicle in. Those filters should be cleaned and changed with regularity. That's where the paint booth draws its fresh air in and is what keeps dirt out when they're painting. And number three, ask the owner if you can talk to previous customers. If you can talk to your previous customer, ask them how the process went. Did the vehicle get done on time? Did it meet their expectations? Were there cost overruns? You want to get a feel for the shop and the owner, because if everything goes right, you have nothing to worry about. But if something goes wrong, you want to know that the owner is going to stand behind his work, he's going to stand behind his word, and that the finished product is going to be exactly what you want. So doing those three things up front will help you decide or narrow down what paint and body shop you want to take your vehicle to. And the next thing to do is to understand the quote. Once you get a quote from a body shop, you need to understand what they will and won't do. Okay, so does their quote include removing all the trim on the vehicle, the door handles, or are they going to simply mask this stuff off? That has a huge effect on the quality, the overall finish of the paint job itself. Are they going to paint the door jambs and the upper door panels on this? And in this truck, they did not paint the upper door panels or the door jambs themselves. So what you've got is this very fresh red paint on the outside. Then you open the doors and you get this kind of maroon looking faded paint on the inside of the door jamb. So things like this is all visual. It all adds up to a better finished product. So you typically pay more to have a car what they call jammed in the industry. So make sure you understand if you're getting your door jambs painted, if you have to remove your trim, or they're going to remove your trim, and to what extent. Are they taking bumpers off? Are they going to take the grill off before they paint? Even the door handles. All those things add up to a better finished product. Also, are they going to sand and buff the vehicle after they paint it? Orange peel is just a function of painting a vehicle. It's very hard not to spray a vehicle or to spray a vehicle and not have some sort of orange peel on it. On a long bed truck like this, when you look down the side of it, you can absolutely see there's a ton of orange peel in this paint. They put it on very thick. I'm going to guarantee you the original intent was to cut and buff this paint, but it just never got done. So make sure you understand, light item by light item, exactly what they're going to do to your vehicle or what they're not going to do. And if there's any kind of body work at all, make sure you understand if they're going to weld in metal or if they're going to fill it with body filler. This truck originally had snaps, a tonneau cover, and snaps down the side. The original owner, and he's right, was not pleased with how they addressed the actual snaps. When you look down the bed of this truck, you can see where every snap was when they removed them. Also, there's a lot of the clips on this truck that held the trim on that they didn't remove before they painted this vehicle. Now, I'm going to have to reposition some of these clips, and I'll guarantee you that they did not paint under these clips. As a matter of fact, I'm going to have to cut some of these clips free from the paint. They put it on so thick so that it doesn't crack the paint when I do this. So just make sure you understand exactly what you're getting, and I would try to get that in writing. So again, at the end of the job, when it's done, and you come to pick your vehicle up and you thought all the trim was going to be removed and they were going to paint it and put the trim back on, and it doesn't happen that way you have some sort of a leg to stand on or recourse when if what you required or what you asked to be done, what you agreed to be done and it wasn't done is not, now you have some sort of a legal recourse at that point. So make sure you understand the quote. Anytime you employ someone to do something for you, it's a business transaction. And at some point, your body shop's going to want to get paid. So the first thing you're going to want to understand about the body shop is what the payment structure looks like. Do you pay a little bit up front? Do you pay a little bit or a draw as the vehicle is completed through certain stages, or do you just pay for the finished product? So make sure you understand how and when you pay. The next thing is, how do they charge? How does a body shop charge if there's unexpected issues? Say they find some rust that wasn't seen originally, or there was a body panel that was damaged previously and perhaps in an accident that really needs to be replaced instead of repaired. What does that fee look like? How much do they charge an hour? Do you source the parts or do they? So just kind of cross that bridge before you get there. There's nothing worse than any surprises. And then finally, if you can in this contract, make sure that you're able to write in a due date, and then if they go past that due date, if the vehicle's not done, say by 3 months from now, what is the ramifications? Are you able to start to charge them or reduce the bill by a certain amount per day? Look, I've seen a lot of these projects, almost all these projects, go well beyond the date when they were promised the vehicle, and I'm talking in some cases years past the date when the vehicle is supposed to be done. And what happens when a vehicle sits for that long is things start to disappear. All the parts that you may have brought, the vehicle sits in a corner and it gets dusty with the windows down and they're spraying primer and the interior gets trashed. Look, I'm not saying it happens all the time, but it happens with enough frequency that you're going to want to be able ahead of time how you're going to handle these things with the owner, and you're going to want to get those things in writing. Trust me, the guy might seem like a great guy, and he probably is, but his word, I'm not saying it's not worth nothing. It's just that it's when it's on paper, and he should be willing, or the body shop owner should be willing to put it down on paper, because again, this is a business transaction. It may be passion to you, the vehicle, the love you have for the vehicle. To him, it's a business transaction. He has employees, he has materials, he has overhead he has to pay for, he has to have cash flow. So it's not unreasonable to expect to pay for the vehicle or to pay for the stages as you go along, or pay a little bit up front. But there should be a finality to it as well, which means you should expect to get your vehicle back in a certain amount of time. You don't want to rush the job, you don't want to rush them. Ask them for an honest assessment of time. Build in a little leeway in that. But beyond that leeway, make sure you build into the contract that you're going to sign to have your car painted with some sort of ramifications if it runs past the delivery date. Okay, now you've decided on a body shop. That's the first step. The second step is you're about to take your vehicle to a body shop. Now what should you do? And the very first thing I would tell you is resist the urge to take all the parts that you've accumulated for this project to the body shop and leave them. Ideally, you would take these parts to them just before they needed them. Again, I've seen these parts not only get broken and stepped on, but also disappeared and never be able to be found again. So take the parts that you've accumulated, whether it's body panels or trim or glass or whatever it might be, take it right before they need it. Now that means that you're going to have to be responsive when the body shop calls you and tells you, hey, we're on to the next step. Typically that'll be right around the time they're going to start asking for money to finish that other phase, but resist the urge to take all the boxes, all the parts, all the cool stuff that you bought for this vehicle until they're ready to put it on. The second thing is, before you take it, make sure you document your vehicle before you take it. Take a lot of pictures and a lot of video. Take video under the hood, inside the cabin, the body, underneath, anything that would document the condition and the parts your vehicle had on it before you take it to a body shop. Again, unfortunately, I've seen some stuff disappear from cars that have gone to body shops, so I'm not saying that these guys are crooks. I don't mean to say that. It's just, Your best defense is a good offense in this case, and document what you have. Document that the radiator shroud wasn't broken. Document that the seats weren't torn, that the glass wasn't broken. And then finally, what I would recommend is any parts that you do bring is document the parts that you bring with the owner, and I would get that in writing. Whether it's the part number, a simple Excel sheet that has the part number, a parts description, and the quantity, just so there's no confusion. If they're going to put trim on or the weather strip on and say, hey, David, or hey, man, we don't have the parts we need, you can pull that piece of paper up and say, well, you know, Jim, I brought that to you 2 weeks ago. We signed off on it. Here's the part number. Here's the brand that I brought. That way, if they need to replace them, they can replace them with the proper brand and part numbers that you did get, so you're getting the same quality. But it just keeps everybody honest and above the board. Make sure that you get what you brought, because again, this stuff's not cheap. Look, the materials alone will cost thousands of dollars in today's world. A good paint job, you know, starts at $10,000, $10,000 to $13,000. You know, this is not an inexpensive process. This is a business transaction. Keep remembering that as you go through this, and it'll serve you well. The absolute last thing I'll tell you before you take your vehicle to the body shop is maybe if you have a spare set of wheels, consider not sending your car to the body shop with the final wheels and tires that you're going to use. Again, these things are going to be in a pretty dusty, dirty environment. Body work and body prep is a dirty job. Hold on to those wheels and tires until you get it back to put it on. It'll be the finishing piece, but I would suggest not sending the vehicle to the body shop with the final wheels and tires that you want to use on the vehicle when it's done. Okay, the next step is your car's at the body shop. Now what do you do? Well, the first thing you want to do is make sure you stop by on a frequent basis to make sure that the work's actually being done on your car as discussed, and that the quality of the work is there. Look, you don't want to bug the body shop, but in the same vein, you want to remain interested in what's going on and not just take their word for it. Again, I've seen some projects where the cars have just languished in the corner for months and nothing was getting done. So be an active participant in this process. Make time to get by and see the body shop. Make sure the work's being done on your car. If you're making draw payments on your project, make sure you stop by and see the project before you write that check, just to verify that the quality is there and that the work was actually completed. It just makes sense to verify what you're doing. Also, while you're at the body shop, keep an eye on your parts stash that you've left behind for the car. Make sure that they're being used, and make sure the parts that you're buying are being put on the car. Look, if you're paying for the top quality, like say you're buying trim parts emblems for your car, and they're ultra correct, make sure you're getting trim parts emblems put on your car and not some sort of a lesser Chinese knockoff brand. So just make sure, keep an eye on what's going on with your project and keep direction going. Okay guys, the final step, and that is to go get your freshly painted vehicle. Now look, don't rush the final delivery of your vehicle. Take your time. Look at the vehicle, the paint and bodywork under both indoor lights, under the fluorescent lighting that they have inside, but also outside in the sun. Fluorescent lights, which is they use these in the paint booths themselves, will show every imperfection, but things look different outside as well. So take it outside, don't rush the process, walk around, look for panel fitment, look for chips that may have shown up during installation or the final installation of emblems and trim. Just make sure you get all that stuff noted ahead of time and repaired before you leave. Verify the final quality, verify you got everything that you came with, that you are leaving with, and then write your final check, and it's the end of the process. Hopefully it ended on the time frame they said it would, it finished in the quality level they said it would, and it's exactly what you wanted. Hey guys, I really appreciate you hanging out in the shop with me today and finding out what you should do before, during, and after taking your vehicle to get the paint and body work done. Until next time, keep the hammer down and keep it between the guardrails.